The morning rush at the terminal was loud and impatient, the kind of noise that swallows people whole. Shoes squeaked on polished floors, flight numbers echoed from overhead speakers, and a gate agent tapped her keyboard with visible irritation. When the elderly man stepped forward, his jacket worn thin and his shoes scuffed from years of use, no one paid him much attention. A small metal ribbon peeked out from his lapel, faded but carefully pinned. He spoke softly, asking if there had been a mistake with his boarding pass. The agent barely looked up. Her eyes flicked to his clothes, then to the growing line behind him, and her tone sharpened. "Sir, if you can't follow basic boarding instructions, you'll have to step aside," she said, loud enough for others to hear. A few people snickered. Someone muttered that the man was probably trying to sneak into first class. The man nodded, embarrassed, and stepped back. He didn't argue. He never had been one to raise his voice. Years earlier, in a place far from fluorescent lights and rolling suitcases, he had learned that calm could save lives. The medal on his chest, the Medal of Honor, had been awarded for actions that cost him friends, sleep, and pieces of himself he never fully got back. But here, in this terminal, it meant nothing. When the agent noticed the ribbon and scoffed, saying, "Anyone can buy those online," something shifted in the air. A nearby veteran stiffened. A woman across the gate stopped typing on her phone. The man simply closed his jacket, as if to spare everyone the discomfort of remembering something real. 9 minutes later, the airport changed its tone completely. Black SUVs rolled onto the tarmac without warning, their dark shapes visible through the wide terminal windows. Flights paused, radios crackled, security personnel straightened, suddenly alert. The runway was sealed with a precision that didn't belong to routine delays. Whispers spread through the waiting area as people stood to see what was happening. The same gate agent who had mocked the old man went pale, her fingers frozen above the keyboard. She watched as uniformed officers entered the terminal and walked directly toward the quiet figure sitting alone near the window. They didn't rush him. They didn't shout. They stopped in front of him and stood at attention. One of them saluted. Another addressed him by name, his voice steady with respect. Passengers stared, confused, as the officer thanked the man for his service and apologized for the delay. Only then did people begin to understand. Phones lowered, smiles disappeared. The room felt smaller, heavier. The medal, once dismissed, suddenly carried its true weight. The gate agent's face flushed as realization hit her all at once, the moment replaying in her mind with brutal clarity. The old man looked uncomfortable with the attention. He always had. He accepted the salute with a nod and tried to stand, but one of the officers gently asked him to remain seated. They explained that they had been notified he was traveling that day and that protocol required additional security measures. The SUVs, the sealed runway, the sudden silence, it was all for him. Not because he demanded it, but because the country he served still remembered what he had done, even if a busy terminal momentarily forgot. Around them, passengers began to clap, hesitant at first, then louder, some wiping away tears they didn't expect to feel before noon. The applause wasn't for the spectacle, it was for the reminder, for the truth that heroism doesn't always look impressive at first glance. Sometimes it looks tired, sometimes it wears old shoes. The gate agent stepped away from her station and quietly apologized, her voice breaking. The man forgave her without hesitation. He had seen worse days than this. When the flight finally boarded, he walked down the jet bridge with a little more support and a lot more respect. The terminal returned to its noise, but something lingered in the air, a shared awareness that titles, medals, and sacrifices don't announce themselves, and that sometimes the most important people in the room are the ones no one thinks to notice until it's almost too late. If this twist gave you chills, imagine what's coming next. Subscribe now, drop a like, and share with fellow thriller lovers. Let's unravel the next mystery together.